Picture this. You're on your way to work, just like every morning, you're taking the same route. You've driven down this route so many times before. You don't even have to think about it. You just know. That's what we call autopilot. When you don't even have to think, you're just doing it. And up until that point that there's a detour, and all of a sudden your mind has to switch on. All of a sudden you have to think, oh my God, how do I actually now get to my workplace? Do I turn left or right? At that point in time, autopilot is switched off and your conscious awareness is switched on. Here's the thing, autopilot is not bad. Autopilot can be very efficient. It can be really energy and time saving for our minds. The problem is though that sometimes when we get stuck in our automatic thoughts, we might experience distress. So imagine if you believed everything your mind told you. You know, those self-critical thoughts that might pop up. Or perhaps you get stuck in memories that bring up a lot of stress and tension for you. And that's when another process can be more helpful. That's where mindfulness can come in. Mindfulness is being aware of the present moment, without judgment, with curious awareness. So we've got autopilot and then we've got mindfulness. One is not better than the other. Both have a lot of benefits. But let's talk a bit about mindfulness actually. Now, what's the deal with mindfulness? Why is it such a trend? It's been such a buzzword for such a long time, don't you think? I mean, there's mindfulness-based coloring in books, I think. So many mindful apps, and everyone talks about how helpful mindfulness really is. However, buyers beware. Mindfulness is not a universal panacea. It's not something that's a cure for all. What is mindfulness actually? Well, it's a concept that has its historical footings in Buddhism. And then in the 1970s, it slowly gained entry into our Western world. John Kabat-Zinn is often kind of cited as the founder of mindfulness here in the Western world. So over the past few decades, mindfulness really became like a mainstay here, not just in psychology, but also even in medicine, in schools even. So a lot of schools these days teach mindfulness-based stress and relaxation strategies. I think from about 2015, Google made mindfulness part of their workplace policies. There has been a lot of research into mindfulness and into the effectiveness of mindfulness-based interventions. So, for example, in 2010, there have been studies that looked into the effectiveness of mindfulness-based interventions for anxiety and depression. There was also a study published in 2023, so post-pandemic, where mindfulness-aided 12-week meditation and breathing program was found to be effective in managing stress and burnout in healthcare workers. Another study found that yoga-based interventions, again with a strong mindfulness component, was helpful to address anxiety symptoms in people with anxiety. However, as I mentioned earlier, mindfulness is not a universal panacea. Mindfulness can be taking some time to focus on your breathing, for example. Or have you ever heard of a body scan? That's an exercise that can be really calming and really help your mind and body to be more reconnected. So, in short, mindfulness has received a lot of critical acclaim and a lot of studies that show its effectiveness. However, it's not better or worse than autopilot. Both are really important processes of our minds. So, if you'd like to start practicing mindfulness, why not have a go? Or you might already be practicing mindfulness-based meditation, mindfulness-based breathing, or maybe you've done body scans in your yoga class or in an exercise class before. I'd love to hear about your experience with mindfulness. Let me know, has it worked for you? Has it perhaps not worked for you? Or is that something that you do generally as part of a stress management program? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. Bye for now.